Number 10. Bettina P and family. Let's start this list off with one of the craziest shark attack stories we've ever heard. In 2008, Bettina P of Orange County, California, was kayaking with her family off Catalina Island when their boat was rammed by a great white shark. Surprisingly, nothing happened with his first attack. But Jaw's grandson was a determined bugger who decided that these barefaced humans weren't welcome in his territory. When the shark came back and hit the kayak a second time, it did it with such force, Bettina went flying into the air, and in an incredible fluke, she landed on her feet on the shark's back of all places. I think the great white was even more surprised than his passenger and decided he wasn't giving no surfing lessons that day. He swam away quicker than you can scream, "Shark!" And Bettina and her family got out of the water just as fast. Number 9. Jesse Arbogast. Poor little Jesse Arbogast sure was lucky in his bad luck encounter with a bull shark off the coast of Florida. This survival story has to be told mostly because of the incredible courage showed by 8-year-old Jesse's savior. Check this out. Jesse's uncle, seeing his nephew being attacked, dove into the water to save the boy and then went back in to grab the 7-foot man-eater, well, in this case, boy-eater, and pulled it out of the water to dry land. That's when a park ranger leapt into action and shot the shark 3 times in the head. And what did these guys do next? In a twist of events that sounds like something from Jonah and the Whale or Pinocchio, they cut the fish open and fished out the boy's severed arm, taking Jesse and his limb to the hospital where the arm was reattached. Number 8. Brook Watson. The oldest story on our list dates back over 250 years ago in 1749 when a 14-year-old cabin boy named Brook Watson was swimming in the Havana harbor and was grabbed by his right foot and pulled underwater. By all estimations, this was probably the work of a tiger shark, but is pure speculation. The poor teenager had his foot chomped on for a while until the sailor with a boat hook leapt into action. The guy managed to get the shark to let go, and Brook survived, although the doctors weren't able to save his right shin, which needed to be amputated. What's even more incredible is that Watson went on to become a member of Parliament and even got the title of Lord Mayor of England back in the day. Legend has it he was so proud to have survived such an ordeal, not being elected, I mean the shark attack, that he got an artist, John Singleton Copley, to create a work of art titled Watson and the Shark. You can imagine how many kids it kept out of the water back in the day, right? Number 7. Paul de Gelder. It really is a miracle that Paul de Gelder made it out of the water alive when he was attacked by a bull shark back in 2009. A clearance diver for the Australian Navy, de Gelder was always a pretty tough dude, but he certainly proved it in this ultimate test of his composure and strength. When the shark caught his right leg and right arm, pulled him underwater, and started shaking the living daylights out of him, de Gelder fought back by pushing his attacker's muzzle, which surprisingly made the shark let him go. De Gelder floated to the surface and somehow managed to get back to shore with a few pieces missing, but still alive. Doctors amputated his right forearm and leg. Ever since the attack, de Gelder has been an inspiration to shark attack survivors everywhere. Number 6. Achmat Hassiem. Achmat Hassiem definitely rates pretty high on our list of most courageous guys we've ever heard of. While he and his younger brother Tariq were helping some local Cape Town, South Africa lifeguards at a training exercise, something went horribly wrong. As they were pretending to be swimmers in jeopardy, fiction became reality. The guys were laying motionless in the water when Achmat spotted a great white shark zeroing in on Tariq. Hoping to distract the big predator, Achmat started splashing around. Unfortunately for him, his technique worked really well. The shark changed its menu plans and headed straight for the older brother. The great white bit off half his right leg before Achmat was able to make it into a dinghy. Apparently not one to wallow in self-pity, Achmat turned to competitive swimming and quickly became good enough to earn a place on the South African team that went to the 2008 Paralympic Games. There, Achmat won the bronze, and with his charisma and charming good looks, he attracted the attention of the modeling world. He actually became a runway model during the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in Cape Town. How's that for turning your lemons into lemonade? Let's give this guy a Best Brother of the Year award and take a page from his Courage and Enthusiasm handbook. Number 5. James Grant. Young Dr. James Grant was spearfishing with some friends when a shark decided to make a snack of one of his legs. Most people would have freaked out, but Grant kept his cool and stabbed the giant fish with his diving knife, discouraging the shark and scaring it away. Then he put his medical training to good use by stitching up his own leg on shore and headed to the bar with his buddies for a beer, like any normal young guy, right? He eventually did go to hospital, but was certainly not going to miss the happy hour specials. Number 4. Rodney Fox. This superhuman Aussie definitely qualifies as a miraculous survivor. The fact that he made it out of this ordeal alive truly is a miracle, and the fact that he went on to lead shark expeditions for a living certainly is testimony to his desire to look death in the face and say, "Oh yeah?" Fox was attacked by a great white shark in 1963 when he was spearfishing on Aldinga Beach in Australia. In Old Man in the Sea style, Fox certainly showed the fish he wasn't going to give up, gouging the beast's eyes out in the process, but the shark nearly bit him in half. It punctured one of his lungs, exposed vital organs, and broke several ribs. Fox was in surgery for 4 hours and received 462 stitches. So as soon as he recovered, he dedicated his life to studying sharks, right? Of course. Number 3. USS Indianapolis. The USS Indianapolis was headed to the Philippines to meet up with its sister ship, the USS Idaho, after delivering components of the first atomic bomb to a naval base in Tinian in July of 1945. It never made it because it got torpedoed by the Japanese. When it sank, 900 survivors were dumped into the shark-infested waters. The explosion and all the blood in the water was all the invitation the sharks needed. For 4 days, they feasted on the crew. By the time a Navy plane found the survivors, only 317 men remained. Although many of the guys were not killed by the sharks per se, and died from dehydration and exposure, this is still considered the worst shark disaster in history. Number 2. Bethany Hamilton. You've probably heard of this lady before, especially if you're into reality TV, because she's been on The Amazing Race with her husband. But a long time before that happened, when she was only 13 years old, Bethany Hamilton lost an arm to a 14-foot-long tiger shark that went after her while she was surfing in Kauai, Hawaii on Halloween morning. She lost her entire left arm and over 60% of her blood. She survived the attack thanks to her friend's father, who fashioned a quick tourniquet out of a surf leash and rushed her to the hospital. You know what they say, if you fall off the bike, get back on it right away. Well, looks like Bethany sure knew something about that, because she returned to the water only 1 month later and won her first national surfing title about a year later. Not long after that, she turned pro. They say you can't keep a good man down, and this certainly applies to this lady too. Number 1. Greg Pickering. Greg Pickering is our number 1 in our 10 miraculous shark attack survival stories because he survived 3 shark attacks in 2 separate incidents, 10 years apart. Believe it or not, that's like being struck by lightning twice or winning the lottery twice. In 2014, the 55-year-old diver was mauled by a shark 10 years after being attacked by another man-eating fish. Apparently, Pickering was working as a fisherman 180 kilometers off Esperance, Western Australia, when what is believed to be a great white shark went for his face and head. Thank goodness he was taken ashore by a fishing boat and brought to hospital by the Royal Flying Doctor Service. In the hospital, he underwent 10 hours of surgery. In 1994, Pickering had been the victim of a double attack by a 1.5-meter bronze whaler that had mauled his shin and calf, ripping through his wetsuit. After the attack, Pickering was quoted as saying, "The shark just turned on me and charged at me, and it latched onto my leg and it bit twice. I could see there was a big chunk of skin hanging off and the wetsuit was sort of holding it together. If sharks are hungry, they can snap. All can be calm, and then they just explode into action." Well, we certainly hope Pickering never gets attacked again, but he did say he didn't plan on quitting work because he had been at it for 30 years. Tough bloke, as one of the witnesses said.